Hello, everyone, and welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast brought to you by DraftKings Pick6. I am Mike Barner. He is Kirien Sprecher, and we are here every Wednesday to help you win your fantasy basketball leagues. Kirien, how are you today?
I'm doing great, man. Let's get into it.
Before we get to all the turkey and the stuffing tomorrow, we got to digest some news and notes across the NBA today. So first, let's get the negative stuff out of the way, and then we'll talk about some positive things. So yesterday, Giannis Antetokounmpo did not play for the Bucks against the Heat. He had a calf injury. He went from probable to out. The Bucks are off until Saturday. So maybe this was a case of giving Giannis a game off so he is able to have some extended rest. Kirien, any nerves here about Giannis missing a game?
Yeah, I mean, the Bucks just can't catch a break. Earlier in the day yesterday, Shams reported on NBA Today that Chris Middleton was targeting a return after Thanksgiving, so he should be on the cusp of a return. And, Bucks fans probably were celebrating a little bit, and then all of a sudden Giannis gets downgraded from probable to out. Definitely a little concerning there. History tells us that Giannis will play through injuries more often than not, but and I expect that to continue, but the trend of him being a regular on the injury report this year, whether it's due to a calf or a knee or whatever other issue he's dealing with, is definitely concerning to me.
Yeah, it definitely is a bit scary. And obviously with his style of play and how many hits he takes, he's more prone. It's, he's not Anthony Davis yet in terms of always on the injury report. Like Anthony Davis and LeBron James, I think they were on the injury report for every game last year.
It's almost like an automated thing.
Yeah,
it's just like, it's just going to automatically go through. They're questionable or they're
AI is putting out the Lakers injury reports and just automatically. So now another superstar who is hurt again. Ja Morant has been ruled out for Wednesday's game against the Pistons with a left knee contusion. Now he played Monday after he had missed 8 straight games with a hip injury. Big question with Ja Morant. Talent is not it. Can he stay healthy? What do you think, Kirien?
Contusion makes it sound minor, but then obviously when you have a contusion, you probably go through more imaging, and then that can reveal something more serious. It's been a frustrating 2 years for Morant, starting to drift into that untrustworthy category for fantasy managers like we talk about with Anthony Davis. But like you said, the talent is undeniable. When Morant has been on the court this season, albeit for limited action, he's been fantastic. 21 points, 9 assists, and 5 boards per game. You just got to live with this for right now, and hopefully he comes back for an extended stretch and really boosts you up the rankings.
I don't want to put this out there, but I'm going to put this out there. Is Ja Morant Derrick Rose 2.0? Little guy, crazy athleticism, but man, he goes into the lane a lot, and that leads to a lot of injuries.
Yeah, I mean, you said it with Giannis too. It's that style of play. Like, the experts always say like, oh, like he's got to, Giannis has to develop a jump shot because he can't do this when he's 35. Like you see LeBron doing that. How he's elongated his career by having that jump shot. I think comparing Morant to Rose so far is pretty fair. Though I will say Rose had multiple like devastating knee injuries. Morant has kind of avoided that like super devastating one for now, and hopefully he can.
Amen. All right. Lauri Markkanen hurt again. Another guy who can't stay healthy. He has a knee contusion against the Spurs yesterday. He banged knees with Victor Wembanyama. He was helped to the locker room. He did not return. The Jazz play again tonight against the Nuggets. I would say it's probably a long shot that we see Markkanen play for that game. The Jazz obviously have nothing to play for at this point. But the Markkanen injury, it continues the season of John Collins. He's got 3 straight double-doubles. He's averaging 17.9 points, 8.8 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and 1.4 steals. With all these injuries happening on the Jazz, John Collins is going to be a fantasy factor here for the rest of the season. What do you think, Kirien?
Yeah, time is a flat circle. John Collins is fantasy relevant once again, and John Collins is in trade rumors once again. It feels like 4 years ago. But again, with Markkanen, similar to Morant, contusion makes it sound minor for now. He was like immediately ruled out after he suffered the injury, but also there was only a couple minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. So that, that's a give and take. We'll see where that is. Like you said, either way, I'm definitely cautiously optimistic about a 7-footer with knee injuries for a non-contending team. Like that whole recipe is not great.
Speaking of a big person with injuries. Joel Embiid is not going to play again Wednesday. Paul George also out again tonight. That's going to be the third straight missed game for both players. The moral of the story here, hang on to Jared McCain. Right, Kirien?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what else to tell you guys about Embiid and Paul George. Roster Yabusele, roster Andre Drummond, roster Jared McCain. Personally, this is just a vibes thing for me. But it goes with reading everything that's coming out of Philadelphia. I don't think this saga is going to end anytime soon.
Yeah, we've hammered on Embiid quite a bit the last couple of weeks, but I just wanted to touch on that because, we're holding out hope that he's going to be healthy, and it's almost December, and the 76ers are plummeting down the standings here. It's going to get late early, and we might not see much of Embiid in the second half.
I don't mean to be short about Embiid or anything, and I don't want to scold the people that did draft him or that did play him, but like this is what we expect from him, right? At this point, like anything other than this would be a shock. This is just the norm.
All right, DeMar DeRozan, normally a healthy player, he is out Wednesday against the Timberwolves with a back injury. Don't like to see back injuries for older players. He missed 3 games earlier in this month with a back injury. In those 3 missed games, everybody sit down. De'Aaron Fox averaged 45.7 points and 7.7 assists. So with DeRozan out, all aboard De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, absolutely all aboard De'Aaron Fox for fantasy, but the Kings as a team themselves were not good when DeRozan was out. They've lost 4 straight, 3 of the last 7. This will be, like you said, DeRozan's 4th missed game in that stretch. A 35-year-old who's averaging 36 minutes per game now dealing with a lingering back injury for multiple weeks. That's never a good thing. I will say this is just a wait and see situation for now. He is old and he has been playing heavy minutes, so it may just be give him some time off and hopefully he can come back. Another thing is that the Kings signed Jay Crowder last night. That was kind of interesting. I think that has more to do with Trey Lyles missing a month than it does DeRozan, but the DeRozan injury probably played a little bit of a factor into that. I don't think, any fantasy managers like, oh, DeRozan's injury, let me pick up Jay Crowder who just signed a contract. Don't do that. I'm not advising that. I just think that bringing in someone immediately like that does kind of raise some alarms.
Malik Monk is also back. That's good news. He was out for a while for the Kings. All right, now Cade Cunningham is doubtful Wednesday against the Grizzlies with a hip injury. This will be his 3rd straight missed game if he does sit out. Over the previous 2 games, Jaden Ivey averaged 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. He's the biggest beneficiary here for however long Cade is out, right, Kirien?
Yeah, absolutely. Asar came back recently, but I don't think he's going to be playing 20-plus minutes anytime soon. So Ivy is definitely the guy to go to here. Malik Beasley's had some sharp shooting nights as a starter, but that's not really a trustworthy option. Cade would have been a candidate for our second segment today, the players that we're thankful for, if it had not been for this injury. This is going to be his 3rd straight absence. And the fact that he's initially listed as doubtful every time, it doesn't suggest that he's close to coming back.
All right, our last bit of negative news before we talk about some positive things. Donovan Clingan is out with a knee injury. He is going to be re-evaluated in 2 weeks. We hate timelines that start with re-evaluation. We've talked about that before. Robert Williams currently out with a concussion, but he could be someone to add for once he's cleared. DeAndre Ayton has been out with a finger injury. He is listed as questionable for Wednesday against the Pacers. Maybe this is one of those situations where magically he becomes healthy because the Trailblazers don't have enough players at center. What are we thinking here because of this Clingan injury?
Yeah, I'm thinking something magical. He's going to have some Magic Michael's drink to, heal up that finger really quick. This is a tough break for the rookie. He was really coming on in the absence of Ayton. I'm going to talk about him again. A lot of foreshadowing these last 2 players. We'll talk about Clingan again later. Trailblazers probably have no desire to rush Clingan back. He showed what he can be. He's a defensive monster. So they're going to give him plenty of time to rest and recover. You don't want to rush a 7-footer back who has a knee issue. But I do think Clingan is a huge trade target right now. Anybody who was rostering him, probably, move him to the IR spot, maybe even drop him after he's out for a month because he wasn't really producing. that much to be like must roster guy if he's going to be out for an extended time. But I think, come February, come March, Clingan is going to be playing a lot of minutes for a Portland team that's tanking and wants to give these young guys minutes.
All right. We're done with the negative news. Let's talk about some positive things. Two big players returned last night. Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal played against the Lakers. Durant, 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 3-pointers over 30 minutes. Bradley Beal, 23 points and 3 3-pointers over 27 minutes. Great news for the Suns. Great news for fantasy managers who rostered both of those players. In terms of players to drop, probably nothing here. Royce O'Neal wasn't doing exactly great anyways. But, Kirien, it's great to have some good news for some big names.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep this one really short. The Suns are now 9-1 when KD plays. That seems pretty good. Durant played 30 minutes. Beal played 27. They both looked efficient. The Suns look good. I don't think we need to talk. I don't have much else other than that.
The Pelicans have been one of the most injured teams in the league this season. They're finally getting some players back. Dejounte Murray is expected to make his return tonight against the Raptors. He has missed all but one game this season. CJ McCollum is back. That's another big boost to the team. The Pelicans are finally coming out of this injury mess that they were in. Great news for those who roster McCollum and Dejounte Murray. Bad news if you've been enjoying the production from Brandon Boston Jr.
Yeah, 100%. Herb Jones seems to be close to. Brandon Ingram will probably be back in the lineup soon too. Trey Murphy and Jordan Hawkins are still questionable. So like you said, outside of Zion and Jose Alvarado, the Pelicans are like really close to having their preferred rotation back for the first time since the season opener when Murray suffered that injury. And, we talk about all these guys coming back and then you think, well, hey, maybe that means Dejounte won't have as leading of a role because, they are getting multiple weapons back. Dejounte Murray, without, Zion excluded from this equation, right now, Dejounte Murray is the Pelicans' best player. No disrespect to Brandon Ingram, no disrespect to McCollum, but like Dejounte is going to come in. And I don't want to say that he's going to be thinking about the narrative of Dyson Daniels like being the winning piece of that trade, but that's probably a little bit of a motivating factor while he's been out and he's had to listen to all of that. So I think Dejounte is going to come back with a vengeance and be a really, really strong player for the next couple of weeks.
All right, Devin Vassell expected to return Wednesday against the Lakers. He's missed the last 5 games. He has played just 4 games this season. He did not play more than 25 minutes in any of those 4 games. Good news is Vassell is coming back. But what does that mean for those who roster him in fantasy basketball?
Yeah, so like Devin is still not playing back-to-backs. He was like reportedly cleared to play yesterday, but since it was the first half of back-to-back, he didn't play, and then he's expected to play tonight. Likely still going to be limited to less than 25 minutes. He hasn't played over 25 minutes in those 4 games that he did play. Vassell's talent is undeniable. He's averaging 16 points in 22 minutes so far. So like even in that limited action, he can still deliver a solid fantasy output for you. It's just kind of interesting like what's going on with the Spurs. Like I personally think that Vassell is a top 3 player for this team and he should be like a key part of the Wemby rebuild. We'll see if that happens. Stephon Castle has been playing really well. The starting lineup with Champagnie in it has been one of the most efficient lineups, efficient like 5-man rotations in basketball. So I don't think like the Spurs are really like going to want to like mess with that right now. So I think Vassell and Keldon Johnson are still going to come off the bench, and then that kind of creates a little bit of a mismatch. But I'm really high on Vassell, and I think if he's getting 25 minutes, he can deliver a solid output.
For our last player, we are also going to have our Bulls minute because Lonzo Ball is expected to return Wednesday against the Magic. Now, he has not logged more than 18 minutes in any of the 3 games that he played this season. We know his injury issues the past couple seasons. He's probably going to stay below 20 minutes a game for a while. Downgrade to Ayo Dosunmu, but good news for the Bulls that Lonzo Ball is back. I want to get your reaction to Lonzo Ball being back, and then I have to get something off my chest about a member of the Bulls.
Yeah, Lonzo is similar to Vassell in that he's not playing back-to-backs yet and will probably have even a stricter minutes limit. I think he was playing around 15 minutes when he was available early in the season. But what's different is Ball's talent was once undeniable. Now he's just simply not playing enough minutes to deliver a strong fantasy output.
All right. Last night, the Bulls beat the Wizards by 19 points. Hooray. We should all be excited. Take a look at the box score. Dalen Terry played 16 minutes. For a team that won by 19 points, he had a net rating of minus 24. How is that possible? I don't understand the math. I watched the game. He stinks. The guy weighs about 10 pounds. Somebody feed him a sandwich. He can't defend anybody. Now that Lonzo Ball is coming back, I don't want to see Dalen Terry anywhere near the floor unless it's the last 2 minutes of a game that's decided by about 15 points. What? Minus 24 in 16 minutes. The team won by 19 points. Maybe I don't know math. I don't understand how that's possible. He stinks.
The only other players that had a negative point differential for the Bulls were EJ Liddell, Javon Carter, and Chris Duarte. They all played only 2 minutes. So anyone who played over 2 minutes had a positive plus minus except for Dalen Terry. It almost looks like a typo. If you weren't watching the game live, I probably wouldn't believe you.
Someone needs to have Dalen Terry eat the entire turkey for Thanksgiving because he doesn't weigh anything and guys are blowing by him. Eat a sandwich, Dalen Terry. All right. Now, so we talked about a little bit of Thanksgiving here. We are going to talk about which players we are thankful for this season. But before we do that, let's hear a word from our good friends at DraftKings Pick6.
Here at RotoWire, we're proud to be partnered up with DraftKings Pick6 this NBA season. Think your team will score more than 100 points tonight? How about your favorite point guard making more than 4 3-pointers? Check out DraftKings Pick6, the newest way to play fantasy basketball and win cash with DraftKings. Here's how it works. All you got to do is pick 2 to 6 players of the same sport and choose if they'll have more or less of a given stat. So for hoops, we're talking points, assists, rebounds, etc. Lock in those picks, compete against opponents for your shot at huge cash prizes. Go download the new DraftKings Pick6 app right now and use our code ROTOPICK, ROTOPICK. That's code ROTOPICK for new Pick6 customers. Play $5, get $50 in Pick6 credits guaranteed. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick6 credits that expire in 30 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Thank you again to DraftKings Pick6 for sponsoring the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. We are 1 day away from Thanksgiving, and we hope everybody has a great time with their family and friends and eats a lot of turkey and stuffing and cranberry and whatever else you like to eat. And this is a good time to take a minute and reflect on some players that we are thankful for this NBA season. So, Kirien, who is someone that you are thankful for to have in fantasy basketball?
I've been thankful for him many times before, and he's back at the top of fantasy rankings list. I'm going with James Harden. Thankful for James Harden this year. PG's gone. Kawhi's not playing. Enter fantasy superstar James. I am the system Harden. 21 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds, 1.5 steals, nearly a block per game, 2.5 threes a night. He's shooting only 37.2% from the field, but is still like a top 5 category play this season. Harden was a consensus second-round pick this year, sometimes falling into the third. But if we were doing a redraft, I would be shocked if he was taken outside of the top 5. Even if, and this is a big if, as we've said multiple times on the show, Kawhi returns around Christmas or a little bit after Christmas, James is still going to lead this offense and carry a lot of teams to fantasy playoffs and potentially championships.
Yeah, it's been best case scenario for Harden because the Clippers have been very competitive. They've been relying on their defense, and Harden has been carrying their offense. So yeah, that is a great pick. Now, my first player that I'm thankful for is Domantas Sabonis. Why? Because he has been stuffing the stat sheet. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Sabonis is averaging 20 points, 12.9 rebounds, 6.3 assists, and 1 3-pointer a game. He's shooting just under 62% from the field, and he's shooting 84.5% from the free throw line, both of which are on pace to be the best marks of his career. Yeah, his assists are down a little bit. However, he's just a consistent, steady source for elite numbers. He is logging 37 minutes per game. He is on pace to average at least 35 minutes per game for the 6th straight season. I don't care that he doesn't give us many blocks. Sabonis does so much else that he is someone that I am very thankful for this fantasy basketball season.
Yeah, the last couple of years, Sabonis has just been absolutely ridiculous. Bringing in DeMar, we thought, how would that change the dynamic between Fox and Sabonis whenever? But it hasn't negatively impacted Sabonis whatsoever. I feel like he's going to be on this list for multiple years to come. My next guy, I'm rolling with Josh Hart. You got to love a Tom Thibodeau guy who plays 40 minutes a night. In my biggest league is a 16-team auction. We get $160. I got Hart for $8. He's been by far my best player. Depending on your league format, his ADP was probably around like 80. The last 14 days, Josh Hart has been a top 10 player in 8 category leagues. The last 30 days, he's been a top 20. And on the season, he's top 30. So he's however you want to look at it, whatever segment of the season so far you want to look at, Hart has well outperformed his ADP and what his projections were going to be. He's averaging 14 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal per game. His shooting splits are ridiculous for a guard. He's shooting 60% from the field, 37% from deep, and 80% from the free throw line. He's playing 37 minutes a game because New York doesn't have a bench. Mitchell Robinson is hurt. Miles McBride has been in and out of the lineup. Hart is single-handedly keeping me afloat in multiple leagues, and I feel like I have to trade him just because his value is so high now, comparative to where I got him at the beginning of the season, that it would be a huge plus to go after and get someone else. But I can't get rid of him at this point because without him, I don't know where some of my teams would be. The minutes and the field goal percentage have to come down eventually. But I still think Hart is a solid top 50 play for the rest of the season easily.
I debated making Tom Thibodeau one of my selections for this because he is gold for fantasy basketball. He just runs his starters into the ground. Now, ask Luol Deng and his knees. Ask Joakim Noah how they feel about that. Long-term prognosis isn't great. I remember there was a quote from Noah the other day. He was watching LeBron play, and Noah said he can barely get out of bed. And LeBron is doing this at 40. But, man, what Tibbs has done and the lack of bench that the Knicks have provided Tibbs is like the perfect storm for his starters, including Josh Hart. All right, my next guy, Tyler Herro, averaging 23.4 points, 5.3 rebounds, 5.1 assists, and 4.1 three-pointers per game. He's doing this in an efficient fashion, shooting 46.5% from the field, 42.1% from three. He is on pace to average at least 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists for the 4th straight season. Now, last year, only played 42 games. This year, he's played in every game for the Heat. I am thankful for not only Tyler Herro, but a healthy Tyler Herro through the start of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. That last stat is the biggest one for me. Herro has always been able to put up numbers, but it's been a question of if he can stay on the court. He's doing that, and we are reaping the benefits as fantasy managers. From one Wisconsin kid to another Wisconsin kid. Shout out Wisconsin. I feel like I do that every show. I'm going with Jalen Johnson as my last guy that I've been thankful for this season. His ADP was around 40. He's been a top 15 player this season. After injuries derailed his breakout campaign, the youngster has been on fire this season. His first 3 games were a little quiet, but since then he's averaging 22 points, 11 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 1.5 steals, 1 block, 51% from the field, 36% from deep, 80% from the free throw line. Category, points league, doesn't matter. As long as Jalen is on the court, he's a must start off in fantasy for the rest of the season. The first draft that I did this year, middle of the summer, right around the All-Star break, a lot of guys didn't even know what team they were playing for yet. I had the 2nd overall pick. I took Jokic, and then on the wraparound, it was a 14-team league. On the wraparound, I wanted to go with Paolo Banchero. He got taken 1 pick before me, and I was stressing. I was like, I haven't done enough research. I don't know what I'm doing yet. And I reached for Jalen Johnson, and right when I did it, everyone was like, well, it was a RotoWire draft, so everyone thinks they're experts. I kind of got a bad reaction from it, and I was like, hey, look, maybe I'm a little biased because he's from Wisconsin. I know a lot of people that played high school basketball with him, but when he's healthy, he is absolutely fantastic. And so I took him like around 28th or, somewhere around there, 25th. And he's still outperforming that. So, I don't want to call my shot yet. There's a lot of season left to go. He has been hurt. He was hurt in college. He was hurt early in his career. But for right now, I got to give Jalen his flowers, and I'm very thankful that the Wisconsin kid has proven me right so far.
You made the right decision taking Jalen Johnson at that point, because when you're on the end of a draft, if there's a guy that you like, you have to take him because he's not coming back to you. I love that decision. I took Jalen Johnson in the third round of every draft that I could get him. The point that you said about health is going to be key. If he plays, let's say 70 games this season, if you want him next year, you're going to have to take him in the second round, because he is going to put up monster numbers. Now, if he can't stay healthy and he plays 55 or lower games, then he's in that injury risk bucket, and you might be able to still get him in the third, maybe the fourth round. But when he is healthy, the numbers that he can put up are just insane.
Yeah, when I made the pick, I was just trying to, salvage the play a little bit, and I was just like, he could be the number one option in Atlanta. Like, I know Young scores a lot, and he kind of is being they're trapping Young, and then they just dump it off to Johnson, and then he plays 4-on-3, and he's just been an absolute monster. It's been so fun to watch him. I hope he can stay healthy.
Crushing it. Now, this is a name I did not think I'd be thankful for as we get ready for Thanksgiving, but here it is. Jakob Poeltl is averaging 16.2 points, 12.2 rebounds, 2.6 assists, 1.1 steals, and 1.3 blocks per game. That is awesome. He's also shooting 58.5% from the field, 64.4% from the free throw line. And you might be saying, Mike, that's still not great. For a center, that's pretty good. And for him, that's really good, because last season he shot 55.1% from the free throw line. What we like, logging 32 minutes a game. Prior to this season, he had never averaged more than 29 minutes per game for a season in his career. Now, he has been aided by Scotty Barnes being out for a while. Kelly Olynyk has also yet to play this season. I am very thankful for what Jakob Poeltl has done so far this season, and I would be even more thankful if the Toronto Raptors traded Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah, I think Poeltl could also be a trade candidate.
No, we want him right on the Raptors, Kirien.
But
right there.
But yes, absolutely. It's not very often in an age 29 season we're seeing career highs across the board. But that's what Poeltl is doing. And given the situation, even with Scotty Barnes back, I think that he is still going to be delivering the similar numbers. Quigley still out. The Raptors are just going to be kind of in flux, whatever. And he seems to be the one constant. And that's what we want for fantasy for sure.
Now, we talked about the players that we're thankful for. We're also thankful for you, everyone who's listening to the podcast or watching us on YouTube. And we see some questions here in the chat. So we want to thank you for watching and putting those questions. And Kirien, let's answer some questions before we move on to, of course, what is the best segment of not only this show, but of any fantasy show in the hemisphere.
Yeah, I love it. So the first question we got here is about Miles McBride. Is Miles McBride going to play tonight? He is not listed on the injury report for now. He has been missing games because of a knee injury. He was also sick for a little bit. I think Miles is good to go moving forward. We'll see if that knee injury pops up. We just talked about Josh Hart, the Knicks not having a bench. You look at like a guy like Peyton Pritchard, what he's doing in Boston. There is fantasy value to be had for a six-man that can make threes and get some steals for you. There's another question about McBride. I like McBride. Do you like McBride, Mike?
Yeah. I mean, he's a lesser extent of Jordan Clarkson, because Jordan Clarkson's going to get you some more assists. But in terms of that scoring punch off the bench, that's the same role for me that I see for McBride. I would rather have him over Jonathan Isaac simply because I don't trust Isaac to stay healthy.
Yeah. And I mean, McBride had 22 points in the season opener. That was a blowout loss to the Knicks. Since then, he hasn't reached the 20-point threshold. But I think that that's the upside that you can have every night. I'm not saying that is what he's going to average, but if you're streaming him in, if you need a big boost on a Sunday in a points league or something, I think McBride is a really strong play. We talked about Vassell being back. He is expected to play today. He hasn't been cleared officially yet. What about PG-13? Is PG a hold for you, Mike?
Yeah, you can't drop him, but man, as soon as he comes back, I'm trading. I'm floating out offers. This season has the makings of a disaster for the 76ers, and we could be looking at some really ugly lineups that they throw out there late in the year if they fall out of it. So when he comes back, if you can get 2 or 3 good stat lines in a row from him, I'd be shopping him to see what you can get.
Yep, I would 100% agree there. What about Bub Carrington? Is he a hold? He's moved out of the starting lineup now with Malcolm Brogdon back. What do you think about that?
If your team's hammered by injuries and you need someone that can produce now, I don't mind dropping him.
Yeah,
if you have a spot to stash him, sure, but he's not a must roster guy to me.
Yeah, I feel like the Wizards, all these young guys, Coulibaly, Keyshawn George, Carrington, Sarr, like they have had some moments this season, but the Wizards have 2 wins. They're going to be at the bottom of the standings. It's going to be a week. Like Carrington, I feel like if you have a roster spot available, you can hold him for all the season, and then maybe in, like I said, February, March, he can pop off. But for right now, he's probably not getting picked up if you drop him, depending on how big your league is. I'm gonna need some help from you on this one, Mike. JSJ, I'm drawing a blank here. This is the problem with live. I'm
gonna say Jabari Smith Jr.
Yeah, yep, that's probably right. Just trade
him or Terry Rozier, or he traded him for Terry Rozier.
Yes.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Rozier, you would prefer if Rozier shot the ball before the final regulation clock expired. But yeah, other than that, I think that's a fair trade. If you need points and threes and assists, Rozier is definitely the better player to have in that situation. All right, a couple more. We talked about Yabusele, definitely worth picking up. Morning, gents. Thoughts on Yves Missy or Wendell Carter? Both are on the waiver wire. WS also said he has Embiid, so he's looking for an option. I think Missy is the clear higher upside play here. Wendell Carter struggles to stay on the court, doesn't really play super heavy minutes even when he's available. Missy has been solid. They're getting healthy, but the Pelicans have had Daniel Tice all season, so like there's Herbert Jones comes back, maybe they play a lot of small ball 5, but I like Missy here. What about you, Mike?
I'm going to say option C, and can you get Nick Richards? Because he's coming back pretty soon. I know Mark Williams is back practicing with the G League. I don't trust that he's going to be able to stay healthy. Nick Richards has not had a history of injury issues. Between these two, sure, I'll take Missy, but I would go behind door number 3 and get Nick Richards if you can.
Yep, for sure. All right, so similar to Nick Richards and Mark Williams, drop below Coulibaly for Mark Williams. I am not doing this. I think Coulibaly has a way higher upside. I know he didn't have a great game last night. Mark Williams, Nick Richards, both practicing with the G League. Mark Williams, like Mike said, injury concerns stems a lot longer than Richards does, and Richards was pretty solid at the beginning of the season. So I think we're both on a similar
I'm with you
here. All right. Dennis says drop 1, Sexton or Keontae. He's rostering both, and it sucks to roster both. Yeah, man, I'm sorry if you took my advice on Keontae early in the season. It hasn't been quite the explosion that I thought. I think Sexton's probably the safer play here. What about you, Mike?
I agree. I would go with the higher floor with Sexton.
Yeah, all right. All right, just a couple more before we get out of here. Grady Dick worth a drop. Depending if you're in like a 10-team league or a 12-team league, maybe. But I think what he showed early in this season, even with Scotty Barnes back, that should theoretically open up more open 3-pointers for him. Maybe he won't have his highest usage, but his percentages will rise a little bit. What are your thoughts on Dick?
Yeah, I'd hold him too, especially Quickly is going to be out for at least a couple more weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't drop him yet.
Scotty Pippen, an option with John Morant injured again. Absolutely. We'll see how long Morant is out, though. If you're in a daily lineups league, definitely picking up Scotty Pippen whenever Morant is missing. What do we do with Zion? Driving me crazy. The offseason videos got me. Yeah, man, it happens. I bought low on Zion in one league too. And then he was injured sick the first game. I was like, that's fine. It's fine. We don't have to worry yet. And now it's all coming back, and reality has hit us hard. Nothing you can really do. If you have an IR spot, hold them there and pray.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for getting all those questions in. Now it's time to call your family around the computer or the phone, or however you're listening or watching us, because your favorite segment's coming up. But first, We need a word from our good friends at Vivid Seats. Finally, the NBA is back and court is in session. And to start the season, Vivid Seats is offering fans $20 off their first $200 purchase. Nothing beats seeing your favorite team hooping it up in front of thousands of cheering fans. Every slam dunk, every fast break, and every buzzer beater of your favorite team live and in person. Because Vivid Seats is the only leading ticket company with a rewards program, you can earn perks on every purchase, like amazing deals and unrivaled annual rewards all season long. Plus, with a 100% buyer guarantee, you can be sure your ticket will be as legit as your love for the game. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today and use promo code RotoWire for $20 off your first $200 purchase. That's promo code ROTOWIRE for $20 off your first minimum $200 ticket purchase. Download the app or visit vividseats.com. Vivid Seats. Experience it live. And now it's time for the What Was That stat line of the week. Kirien, you're up first.
All right, buckle up, folks. I'm going to go with the first good and bad stat line of the week. First, the good. Rookie Donovan Clingan drew his 6th straight start Saturday against the Rockets. During that game, he grabbed 19 rebounds and blocked 3 shots, looking like the defensive superstar that he was in college. However, the kid didn't record a single point. He went 0 for 4 from the field. I don't care if you're playing at the park, with your dad, at the gym, on JV, varsity, college, or in the pros. If you grab 9 offensive rebounds in a game, you deserve way more than 4 shots. His teammates were certainly not rewarding the big fella for doing all the dirty work. Obviously now Clingan's going to be out for a couple of weeks, and that's a tough game to go out on. But when he comes back and he's grabbing offensive boards like this, feed the big fella. Come on.
Man, he's just got to throw it back up and hope somebody hacks him. When you get that many offensive rebounds, forget everybody else around the three-point line. You're doing the dirty work. Lean into somebody and throw it up and hope you get one, right?
Absolutely. Whenever I'm playing pickup, if I get a steal, I'm shooting that next shot. If I get an offensive rebound, I'm shooting that next shot. I did the work. I deserve that shot.
Now, I already went negative on Dale and Terry today, so I don't have to argue anymore. We got all sunshines and rainbows for me this week. Elfrid Payton on November 25th against the Pacers. He played 31 minutes. He had 21 assists. What was that? That was awesome from Elfrid Payton. He also had 14 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals. He has started all 3 games since joining the Pelicans. Now, I want to throw out some totals here because Payton had 21 assists in 1 game. Here are some players who have fewer assists than Elfrid Payton had in that 1 game for the entire season. Joel Embiid has 14 assists. Okay. Joel Embiid can't get on the floor, so no surprise there. Jabari Smith Jr. has not missed a game this season for the Rockets. He has 17 assists. Pass the ball, Jabari Smith Jr. Yusuf Nurkic has 20 assists. He has played 15 games. This guy averaged 4 assists a game last season. He has less assists than Elfrid Payton had in 1 game. Finally, Jaren Jackson Jr., injury history, has only missed 2 games this season. He has a total of 20 assists. So Elfrid Payton beat all of those guys in 1 game. Now, we're not going crazy because McCollum is back. Dejounte Murray is coming back tonight. Jordan Hawkins is in and out of the lineup, so he's going to help too. It was a great stat line from Elfrid Payton. He's not someone that we're adding long-term. Elfrid Payton, 21 assists in 1 game. What was that? It was great.
Payton's going to be telling this story in like 20 years from now, and he's going to be like, yeah, I was out of the league for 4 or 5 years. I came back. 4th game, I dropped 21 assists. They cut me the next day, or I fell out of the rotation the next day because they got healthy. I deserve a chance, and no one's gonna believe him. But I'm glad that you gave him his flowers because that was an unbelievable performance.
His court vision has improved dramatically since he got rid of that tidal wave haircut that he used to have. That's what I call it because it looked like a tidal wave. It almost looked like a Muppet.
You're sounding like
just flop in front of his eyes. You can't see anybody.
You're sounding like Ken Kreitz now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I am old. I'm not as old as Ken, but I am much older than you. And that was one weirdo haircut.
For sure. That seems like a good place to end the pod here.
That's right.
So 40 minutes.
Thank you, everyone, for watching us this week. We hope you have a great time with your friends and your family tomorrow for Thanksgiving. And Kirien and I will be back with you again next Wednesday to give you all the information that you need to win your fantasy basketball leagues. And thank you again to DraftKings Pick6 for sponsoring the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Everyone enjoy your holiday, and we'll talk to you again soon.